We will call the Board of Education for Tuesday, April the 21st to order. Please stand for the
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Want me to go ahead and do the reorganization now? Okay. Yes. I get to be in charge for just a little bit, so we will do the reorganizational session first. So that has been called to order. We'll start with the approval of the county clerk's certification of the election. And of course, because we only had 2 candidates for the 2 open positions, then there was not an election. We do have a letter from the county clerk certifying that we're not required to have an election, and that both David Bova and Joan Dunsey shall assume the responsibilities of their office as if they were elected. So I would ask that you approve those results.
Move to accept the official results of the April 7th, 2015 election and declare David Bova and Joan Dunsey as elected directors to serve a 3-year term on the Board of Education of the reorganized school district number R2, St. John County, Missouri.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Next item is the reorganization of the board. We'll start with the administration of the oath of office to our newly elected and appointed members by Board Secretary, Mr. Terry McKay.
Just stand, just raise your right hand and repeat after me. I, in your name,
I, David Bova,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Missouri,
and the Constitution of the State of Missouri,
and I will faithfully and impartially
and that I will faithfully and impartially
discharge the duties
discharge the duties of school director
in the St. Genevieve County R2 School District,
in St. Genevieve School District,
County of St. Genevieve,
County of St. Genevieve,
State of Missouri,
State of Missouri,
to the best of my ability according to law.
to the best of my ability according to law.
Congratulations.
Congratulations. Welcome back. Move on to the election of board president.
Make a motion to nominate Martha Singer as board president.
Are there any other nominations? I would ask that someone make a motion that nominations cease and that should be elected by acclamation.
Move the nominations cease and leave with acclamation.
Second.
And a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Congratulations, Mark. Election of board vice president. Are there any nominations for vice president?
Make a motion for Joan Dunsey.
Second.
Okay, any other nominations?
I'll move the nomination cease and we elect by acclamation.
So we have a motion
Second.
and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Next, we need to elect a delegate for the Missouri School Boards Association.
I move to nominate David Bova by acclamation.
So we have a motion to elect David Bova,
Second.
second by Charlie Crowder. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? We also need to elect an alternate delegate for Missouri School Boards Association.
I nominate Eric Bosler by acclamation.
Second.
We have a motion and a second for Eric Bosler. All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Now I need a motion to adjourn the reorganizational session.
I move to adjourn the reorganizational session of the Board of Education of the reorganized school district number R2, St. Genevieve County, Missouri.
Second.
Motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Okay, your first duty as delegate is in June. I think you know that.
Can do.
Okay, we'll call the meeting to order. First is the approval of the agenda.
Move to approve the agenda of the April 21st, 2015 regular meeting as presented.
Second.
A motion and second, all in favor by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next, we have the approval of the consent agenda items.
Move to approve the consent agenda items as presented.
Second.
I have a motion and a second, all in favor by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next, we have public participation. There she is. Hi, Tina.
Good evening. I have some good news that I'd like to share with the Board of Education. As president of the SGNEA, I submitted to the MNEA, the Steelworkers Union 169G, for the help that they provided for us as a district for Amendment 3 as a support as a union themselves and their use of their building and all the other things that they've done for our community. And at the RA this past weekend, the Horace Mann Award was awarded to the Steelworkers Union. Unfortunately, Joe Fowler, who is the president of the Steelworkers Union, was unable to go and receive it at our RA this afternoon. I presented it to him and any of his union members this afternoon at their union meeting. And so I just wanted to share that they are now statewide recognized as an association, friend of education for organization in this area of civic organizations. So I was very proud that I submitted them and that they were actually chosen for our community. And Joe Fowler was very grateful that we recognized them, and we just reciprocated back and forth, because if it wouldn't be for for his group getting out the word to his members, you know, we may not have gotten the word out so well either for Amendment 3. Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyway? Yeah.
I'm Ed Mellinger. I'm director of the Helping Hands Food Pantry at the First Presbyterian Church here in town. And last Saturday, the Women's Club of St. Genevieve and 4 St. Genevieve High School students, members of the Family, Career, and Community Leaders of America, held a Pack the Truck for Hunger event at Country Mart. The students distributed a list of suggested items to the shoppers as they entered the store, and as they came out, they collected the goods. Vivian Vaughn, Addie Stiegel, Brooke and Taylor Hasty collected over 1,000 items and $150 to help feed local people that have a need for that. They gave up the better part of their Saturday, 7 hours. And I wanted to publicly recognize their efforts in serving the community.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, that's great. Good Okay, we'll move on to the report of the superintendent. Dr. Lindsay?
Yes, there are just a couple things that I'll briefly mention. Notes of appreciation are in your packet along with the safety reports. I think I'd like to start the first part of the superintendent's report with Dr. Fleet talking about the recognition and retirement benefits that's coming up from May.
Yes, the St. Genevieve R2 will hold its 27th annual retirement recognition banquet next Friday on May 1st. It will be held at the Elks Lodge. Doors open at 5:30 with dinner served at 6:30. We will recognize employees who have earned degrees and received awards. Those employees who have served the district for 25 years will identify our friend of education this year. Employee of the Year, Supervisor of the Year, and Educator of the Year in all 4 of our buildings. We will celebrate our retirees, and all current employees and retired employees and their spouses or significant others are invited. So if you have not received an invitation and you would want to come and fit into those categories, call Becca at district office, and she will take care of everything. So I also, while I have your attention, want to make you aware of another event that we'll be hosting in May. We have on Wednesday, May 13th, the St. John R2 100th anniversary celebration. And what we're going to do that evening in the old gym at the middle school, we have all of the memorabilia that we have collected on display. The doors will open at 5:30, and we'll have all those items set out with historical facts and information. Mrs. Staffen is working, well, actually, she's back there working now, to find the information to go with all those old photos and pieces of history that we have. At 6:30, we will do a reader's theater, and this will be excerpts from that class of 1915 play that we have. We're having a hard time finding enough people to stay with that play because it's a very long play, so we decided that doing excerpts would be a way for people to see what the play was about and to keep people that would actually do it, because it is such a long commitment and it is such a long play. So we're gonna do excerpts that night, and we will provide refreshments. If the public cannot be here on Wednesday evening to see it, we are going to have it open all day on Thursday, May 14th. And it will also be open to the students on the St. John campus, so they'll be able to access it and look at it. If the public does want to attend and look at the items on Thursday, May 14th, we ask that you please check in with the middle school office, and they will take care of getting you into the building and taking you to the location securely. So if you have any questions about that event, call Carrie Staffen in our library. So that's all the information I have.
Just to add to that, I know that the committee's done a lot of work to prepare for that, but really, when I say the committee, to a large extent, I'm talking about Carrie Staffen. She's done a tremendous amount of work in researching archives and materials and gathering things to put on display. So she deserves some accolades for that. So, kindergarten enrollment, there's some information in your packet, a little bit of a historical perspective on kindergarten enrollment. The number that is registered at this time of year, this is the main thing that I kind of gleaned from these numbers, is that the numbers that we have now are not necessarily a good predictor of what we will have on the first day, but I did want to provide that information for you. One thing I found that was pretty interesting is looking at Bloomsdale in particular, the 2012-13 numbers, there were a difference of 5 students between registered and then who actually showed up on the first day. And then if you look at last year, there was a difference of 20 students between the number that registered and the number that actually showed up. So take the information with a grain of salt, and obviously we will try to get a better handle on what we can expect with kindergarten enrollment between now and then. I want to give an update on the video display boards. It has finally stopped raining long enough, and they're able to come, and they're supposed to come tomorrow and set the steel that the video display board at the football field will be mounted. So we're pretty excited about finally being able to see some progress. That's something that's kind of been in the works for quite a while, and the weather just never would participate late winter and early spring. It's just been so wet. I also wanted to mention just briefly a couple Senate bills that are working their way through the Senate. One of them is Senate Committee Substitute for Senate Bill 339, and the other one is Senate Committee Substitute for Senate Bill 554. Basically, both bills deal with how mines inquiries are assessed for taxation purposes. 554 was the initial bill, and it seemed to have stalled, and so it was added on to Senate Bill 339. either one of these bills would have a significant impact on local taxes for every taxing entity in the county. Obviously, the school district would be the one that would be most affected. I've reached out to Senator Romine, and I know that Mr. Bova and Mrs. Reesinger went to Jeff City today and spoke with Senator Romine about the same issue. He's certainly aware of our concerns. It's something we want to keep an eye on. I know that the Superintendent's Association is aware of it. They're watching it. The Assessors Association is watching it as well. But I just want to let you know that that is out there. I think at this point we're ready for the principal reports. We never know who's going first. Thank you, Debbie.
I will volunteer. Yes, thank you. Good evening and welcome. Just a couple of highlights from St. John Elementary. We had some PTO sponsored events, several actually. Our PTO is very powerful. We had the Hagerman Science Show. It was for grades K-5, and PTA sponsored that and paid for it, and had the science guy brought in. He had been a big hit earlier doing a little bit of a different science show, and that was for a special event, but this was for everyone in the building, so totally loved that. They sponsored the Me and My Guy dance, which is a big deal, just to let you know. Everybody comes dressed up, and it had a Under the Sea theme, so it was great fun, and I think it was enjoyed by all the dads and the guys and the little girls, and it's something special for them. To balance that out, we had a Me and My Gal dodgeball event, which was not as dressy-uppy, but just equally as fun. And it was a big deal too, and it was just a great evening for everyone. So our PTA is doing great things. They're meeting, having staff meetings, involving people, and I just want to give them some credit for all the things that they do. They're a very wonderful group. Another thing that I was very proud of was we had a fundraising project, which we all have to live through fundraising. We had a goal set of selling 15 of the cards, and we thought, well, that'll be, how many students? We had 82 students that sold 15 or more cards. So they won a limo ride and pizza luncheon one day. And so we took them by grade levels because they brought this limo that held 20 people. It was like a stretch, like an SUV. Giant. They had a ball. So then they got to go down to Ciro's and have pizza. But that was great support from the community, and we really appreciate that. That makes a big difference for us in the elementary. Just some other things for staff. We've had some Cardinals opening day, for those who couldn't go to Cardinals opening day. We had hot dogs and ballpark food, and we even tried to roll out a cheese fountain, and it didn't do so well. Anyway, so just, FYI, don't try cheese in the chocolate fountain. It didn't work as well. Kind of got stuck after a while. But that was fun. We've had a 5th grade music program, and for those of you who got to see it, Nate did an excellent job teaching 5th graders to play the guitar, and it was wonderful. It was just a wonderful conference, a wonderful presentation. We've had our basic MRI trainings. We've had staff meetings. We had Wanda Roth, the mother of Lindsay Roth, who was our 1st grade teacher, came in, and she also taught at Bloomsdale. But Wanda came in and presented the 1st grade students with Dr. Seuss books of all the places you'll go. And it was a wonderful tribute for those kids. Afterwards, we sat around and we all talked about, with the children, about memories of our 1st grade teachers. Because when I started school, that was your first time in school. We didn't have kindergarten. And so it was a wonderful time for the kids, for Mom, and for all of us too. So we appreciated her doing that. We began math testing this week with 5th grade. And I think the kids are in better shape than we are, because we've also prepared, and they're doing really well. We're having no technology issues. It's rolling right along. We're real proud of that. And that district this district should be proud of that. And that's St. John Elementary.
Thank you.
And Jerry is standing in for Lori tonight, so it's a good practice session for Jerry.
That's right.
That's right.
Good evening. Mrs. Zusman sent me the highlights of the month because she couldn't make it tonight. So regarding staff recognition, Marcia Nelson was recognized as the faculty person of the month, and Kelsey Kurtz was the staff person of the month. And they each received a gift certificate from their PTO and a special parking place this month. On Tuesday, March 3rd, Bloomsdale Elementary began taking their kindergarten registration appointments, and also a tornado drill was held, and everyone was in place in 1 minute and 6 seconds. In the week of March 9th, various activities were held to celebrate Dr. Seuss, and some of the favorite ones were Wacky Wednesday and Dr. Seuss Book Bingo. On Wednesday, March 11th, both the 4th and 5th grade teachers attended MRI training at St. Jen for a half day each. On the 12th, the 5th graders attended their orientation at the middle school for 6th grade and had a great time. And also that evening, Bloomsdale Elementary held a family fun night with a great turnout. There were 79 families and 277 people in attendance. So they had a great evening. The families did different stations. Plant pot decoration, plant a seed, nutrition, ice cream parlor, face painting, and brain break activities. So on Friday, March 13th, they had a box top collection competition, and the boys, it was boys against the girls, and the boys won, and as a reward, they had a boys rule day, and the boys were given special privileges throughout the day. But she didn't say what those were. I'd like to know what they got to do.
Maybe you wouldn't.
Yeah. On Tuesday, March 17th, the PTO had a meeting in the cafeteria, and then the following morning there was a faculty meeting. And on Friday the 20th, the 5th grade students held a 6th grade class enrollment in their classrooms. I believe Amy Meyer came out for that. And also the Big Smiles Dentistry program came to the school and demonstrated proper teeth brushing to all the kids, and each student received a new toothbrush. The week of March 23rd, 4th grade students began to use their book sale money to earn money for their class field trips. The Boy Scouts came and visited 5th grade to tell about Boy Scouts and how to join. There were care team meetings in both 4th and 5th grade. Trotter Photo came out and took spring school pictures. 3rd quarter report cards were sent home, and Judy Colligan came with the Family Nutrition Education Program and held nutrition classes with kindergarten and 1st grade. They had a busy week, it looks like. And in the month, a few of the regular things that they celebrate each month were done. They had students celebrate, teachers celebrated students' work on the Bloomsdale Elementary Hall of Fame, and there were 27 kids that had a birthday and came to see Mrs. Zusman and get a new book. And also many students signed the AR wall for achieving either 100, 200, or 300 book points. So those are a few highlights from Bloomsdale last month.
Good evening. St. Genevieve Middle School has been busy since the last time we met. March 17th, we were in here and I was telling you we had 3 students competing in the Mineral Area Junior High School Athletic Association Spelling Bee. We did have one person bring back the plaque with her name on it. Brooke Weiler got 1st place, and so the plaque came to us and her name got placed on it, and it will be in our trophy case until next year with the Spelling Bee, so congratulations to Brooke. We had 5th grade enrollment on March 20th. Following the 5th grade visit to the middle school and the 5th grade parent night, Mrs. Amy Meyer visited the 5th grade students at Bloomsdale and St. John Elementary to enroll them for 6th grade. We had a MAP kickoff celebration on March 27th, and you know, teachers work so hard getting these kids prepared for the MAP test, and their stress level is through the roof, and the kids' stress level is through the roof. So the past several years we've done a kind of a kickoff celebration where we let the kids have some downtime. That morning we allowed the drama and design kids to put on the play that they were going to do that Friday evening as a first run, and of course Mrs. Otto's anxiety level was through the roof, as you all are probably aware. But it always seems that those kids come through and they do a fantastic job. Some of our kids did really well through the first run through. We had an extended advisory time to show the students some map videos on what to expect on the map test and get them familiarized with the map test. And in addition, we did an I am activity, which was an activity I came across a while back, and I've just been kind of mulling it around on how to do it. And basically what it is you give the kids a half sheet of paper, and you write down in one word or a few words what you are. And some of the responses that we get from these kids are heartbreaking. Some of them are out of this world. And so we collected all those during that advisory time, and on the 13th and 14th, when we have people coming in to look at that memorabilia, we'll have all that stuff put up on the walls in the entrance as they walk in, and it's going to say I am, and then all of our kids are going to be on there.
And
so,
staff.
And staff. And so if you get some time, walk by, that's going to be neat. And then we had a shortened lunch. I have to thank Mr. Haney for modifying his lunch schedule and allowing us to get in there and get out to watch a movie in our fantastic PAC facility. That afternoon it was the Maze Runner, and I think the kids really loved it. Why do those type of days wear administrators out more than the kids? The kids are just ready to go, and administrators at the end of the day are pulling their hair out, just exhausted. I don't understand, but that's beside the point. That night, Friday, March 27th, Mr. and Mrs. Otto, along with the drama and design kids, put on the play Haphazardly Ever After, and it was really, really good. Our independent study kids took a trip to the Holocaust Museum on Monday, March 30th. They do a unit every year on the Holocaust and what happened, and my daughter happens to be in there now, so I hear about it every night. But that unit has always struck me as very poignant for our community to understand other cultures and how they go through things. I'm always walking up the hall and looking at their projects, so I have a connection to that for the past several years. They got to go to a Jewish deli and have breakfast, or what they thought was going to be breakfast, and of course there's no bacon there. So a couple of them were disappointed. But then they got to go to the Holocaust Museum, and I talked to them when they got back, and it was really well worth the trip. They really enjoyed that trip. Our jazz band went to the North County competition on Saturday, April 11th. They received a 2 rating, which was fantastic. Jacob Kamidulski did a baritone saxophone solo, and Sidney Ehlert did a trumpet solo, and they earned Outstanding Musicianship Awards for those solos. NGHS took a field trip to the CHADS Coalition today. In our community, we hear a lot about the CHADS Coalition. There's a Run with Color coming up that Mrs. Rowland in the high school is putting on, and that money will be donated to the CHADS Coalition. CHAD stands for Communities Healing Adolescent Depression and Suicide. And Mrs. Rowland was looking for something to do with these NGHS kids, and kind of threw out there, well, maybe going to the CHADS Coalition would be a good idea. And so the founder, Marion McCord, actually was there and presented to our kids. So she was the one that lost her son, and she's the one that started this coalition. And so she spoke to the kids about depression and suicide for about 45 minutes, and then our kids donated their time for about an hour, organizing some stuff for the CHADS Coalition and getting some stuff together. So I think they really enjoyed that as well. History Day competition will be coming up this Friday. Mrs. Kime will be escorting Angie Schwartz and Caitlin Schollhammer for their documentary on Elvis to Columbia. The regional, on the state competition, they got first place at the regional competition, and then should they move on, the national competition will be held in Washington, D.C. This is our first year doing it. I think it's fantastic that our kids are representing themselves. Without knowing the criteria, without knowing what to expect, they go in and they pull off this first place. So good luck to them. MAP testing started May 30th through April 1st for science. We got through that one, and then English Language Arts hit us in the face on April 13th through the 17th. A couple glitches. Of course, Dr. Fleet comes over to check things out that first day we're MAP testing, and our amplifier blows. We have no bells, and I can't do any announcements. So we had a few bumps in the road getting started, but of course our teachers were true professionals and got us through, and they're continuing. We're finishing up math this week. We'll finish up on Thursday with math testing, and then we'll do makeups, and we'll be complete. I have to commend our technology department. They are top-notch when it comes to issues. We haven't had any, so kudos to them. St. Genevieve Middle School feature staff teacher for March, which we didn't get to do last month, was Melinda Wolk. Melinda always works hard to make our school look good, but lately with all the winter weather, if you remember in March we had a bunch, The floors have been such an extreme amount of work, and she tirelessly works to keep them clean, which is not easy when hundreds of feet are tromping through the halls. I think she's a person who many may not think about because she is always working without anyone really seeing her doing everything. But if she was not there, everyone would really notice. She always has a smile and does not complain about what she has to do. Her kindness and efforts always shine through our hallways. So Melinda Wolk was our March featured teacher staff person of the month. In April, it was Crystal Kester. Crystal is an amazing teacher and coach. She is giving of her time and energy. She always supports sporting events and coaches year-round. She is engaging and a caring teacher. She has taken on the leadership role of the PLC in the English Language Arts Department and is always willing to help school organizations, especially in JHS. She helps organize the WINGS program for the 7th grade. The list goes on and on. Crystal always has a smile on her face. Her enthusiasm is contagious, and the students can tell that she is happy to be teaching. Crystal is truly an amazing person as well as teacher, and she brightens the room wherever she is. So she's our staff teacher person of April. So thank you.
Good evening. We at the high school have done a few things this past month. Seemingly everything we've done is preparing for next month. And by the way, that's the karma you bring when you come stay at my building on Tuesday. Yeah, Tuesday is that. First of all, I'd like to start with saying congratulations to the following seniors for being selected as candidates for the 2015 prom court, which prom will be taking place this Saturday at the Elks Lodge. They are Hunter Busher, Daniel Ditch, Blake Engel, Jacob Hersher, Cody Stacy, Harrison Womack, Whitney Burr, Emma DeLapp, Maggie Fleet, Pam Harlow, Tiffany Porter, and Mariah Ridd. Also coming up next week on Wednesday will be the honors banquet presented by Mississippi Lime at the Elks Lodge starting at 6 o'clock. So again, I would like to remind you all of that. I also want to inform you, for those of you that didn't see it, that you are in the presence of greatness, as the FCCLA hosted their annual donkey basketball game, and we had two exceptional, well actually three, as I hear Ms. Kiesler laugh, but we have two exceptional players in Dr. Fleet and Mr. Bova that participated in that. So if you get a chance, there's some pictures out there floating around. Make sure you get to see one of those. Normally I don't cover drills in this thing. It's just not something I put on the list. But I do want to say that we held an inadvertent tornado drill about 2 weeks ago. And the reason why I bring it up is really this. It happened after school. It was a lockdown for weather conditions. But it always amazes me as an administrator when you go into a situation like that and you're locking down with over 100 of your kids for 2 hours after school, plus your staff, and you don't have one iota of problem. You don't have one person whining about wanting to go home. You have staff willingly there. It's just amazing at the quality of students that we have and staff that we have. And so I wanted to make sure I said that I just absolutely appreciated. I think the most fidgety of all the people at that event was me the whole time and ready to get out of there. I think the kids were good to go for a while, but I'm just absolutely impressed. And with the parents and the politeness with those who came to pick up kids, that they dealt with us, and under the circumstance they completely understood. So I wanted to thank that situation and mention that.
Mr. Haney?
Yes.
I just want to tell you that the kids felt safe because I got texts from Chad and he kept saying, "Don't worry, Mom, I'm not going to die."
That's usually a daily goal of mine, but in particular, that was a huge goal that night.
I texted back, "Please don't say that again."
And not what you want to put in Mom's mind in the process. Yeah. Also, we had 8 students from St. Genevieve High School recently participate in the Mesha District Solo and Ensemble Music Festival. All 8 of these students were awarded a 1 rating for their performance and are now eligible to perform in May at the State Music Festival. They are Riley Meyer, Nathaniel Church, Ryan Melton, Alyssa Pearson, Sean Beck, and a percussion ensemble performed by Alyssa Pearson, Tristan Ponder, Cade Reynolds, and Nick Robinson. The St. Genevieve High School math team competed with 10 other schools at the 45th Annual Mineral Area Math Teachers Association competition. Both the 9th through 10th grade and the 11th and 12th grade teams finished second in the large school division. And top individual honors went to Tate Meyer, who placed first in the senior division, Matt Bowman, who placed second in the sophomore division, and Dylan Burr, who placed third in the sophomore division. The following FFA members have qualified for state. There's that trend continuing of people qualifying for state nationals. Great problem to have. By earning top honors in ag mechanics, who are Jacob Hersher, Gage Moyers, Andrew Nagar and Tim Schweiger. In farm management, it was Brock Kurtz, Taylor Tyson, Michael Turner, and Kendall Sikowski. In horse evaluation, it was Hannah Chapman, Courtney Dunsey, Haley Call, and Tyler Rogers. In livestock judging, it was Hunter Busher, Shannon Davis, Ethan Vase, and Reagan Zerwig. In poultry judging, it was Seth Bowman, Austin Karen, Thomas Oder, and Camden Rowe. And in nursery and landscape, it was Thomas Bolin, Jessica Boyer, Gage Moyers, and Chelsea Renault. On March 25th, we had several FBLA members visit 3rd and 4th graders to teach them about the advantage of using a savings account. And that to me is just a neat idea that we're pushing personal finance in school, we're pushing our kids to be fiscal responsibility. And like we've talked about all the time, the best way to really get it in is to teach it and to kind of interact with those students. So to me, that was a really neat thing put on by our FBLA. 3 members of the St. Genevieve High School FCCLA chapter were installed into regional leadership positions. They are Alex Newman, Vivian Vaughn, and Bailey Smith. An impressive thing that we found out this past month was an award given by MESHA is for academic all-state in each sport. To earn this honor, a student athlete must have a cumulative grade point average of 3.6, and including the first semester of this year. So basically, they have to be a straight A student for the entire time they're in school, including first semester. We had 11 volleyball players selected to that team. So that to me is just amazing. And they are Madison Reynolds, Cameron Gettinger, Mariah Ritter, Jessica Probst, Emma Bosler, Tess Bowman, Natalie Engel, Riley Myler, Caitlin Sikowski, and Kendall Sikowski. Also awarded that was for wrestling, AJ Gons. We had students at FCCLA perform excellent at the Conference of Stars, students taking action recognition, and actually are claiming 14 going to nationals at this time, and claiming a state title was Natalie Engel for her leadership event. Those national qualifiers are Jenna Papin, Caitlin App, and Solly Grieshaber for a focus on children, Alex Newman and Bailey Smith for Illustrated Talk, Payal Patel and Caitlin Bloom for life event planning, Daniel Ditch and Bethany Beckett for national programs in action, Selena Kreitler, Kirsten Trump, and Kelsey Schmidt for food innovations. And we also, of course, had Nicole Morgan Papin and Allison Boca for the chapter website, and Abby Stolzer, Tess Bowman, and Brooke Hasty for digital storage. And going back to what you hit on, and it's been a theme this whole year for these ladies, and they have done an amazing job with it. But Vivian Vaughn and Addie Spiegel for the No Kid Hungry. KTJJ Dream Team Banquet, Wrestler of the Year was Ethan Bates, and we got Wrestling Coach of the Year with Jared Bonnell. Girls Cross Country Coach of the Year was Brian Jett, and Girls Cross Country Coach was Taylor Warner. I'm also proud to say that coming up through the end of this week, I'll be handing out over 150 certificates to students for straight A student through the St. Louis Cardinals baseball program. And I'd like to name them all, but we're not going to. FBLA went and qualified did excellent in state. Tate Meyer placed 6th in accounting, and Daniel Ditch and Jessica Probst received a 3rd place in marketing, which qualifies them for nationals in FBLA. And I have to joke with Mrs. Bader and Dr. Smith on that because of the fact that when she was going, her and I kind of had a back and forth that my budget's taking a huge hit with all this state and national travel, and I'm like, now you got to kind of, she's like, oh, I don't think we're going to have anybody qualified. And then we go and have 2 students qualify. So I'm kind of giving her a hard time about that. And Josie Toombs placed 7th with her public service announcement. The SJHS Scholar Bowl team won the district title and 4 straight gut-wrenching, super stressing, nail-biting barn burners. And I say that's the way it was written up. This is from a press release, but I actually love the way he did this. This is Michael Rook and Mr. Gary Bierman. The team started the day with a 250 to 230 come-from-behind victory against Park Hill Central in a preliminary play. Then upset favored Potosi 320 to 270 in the second preliminary game. Potosi and St. John then battled again in the semifinals, which we captured a spot in the finals with a 300 to 250 win over them that time. And the defending district champs, West County, that were top-ranked team, and highly favored to win. We beat them 300 to 280. So great job to them. The only, yeah, it was an amazing event. I of course thought our kids could do it, but it really came out of the blue. The only downfall to it is they now qualified for sectionals, which the academic team will play sectionals the night of the honors banquet. So we do have that conflict. Also as part of that, Josh Bierman and Trey Humphrey earned all district medals for us. The last couple things I want to talk about are some curricular things that we've got going on that are just incredible. And I was talking to Mr. McClark from SEMO today, and he used to be principal down at Jackson, and we were both kind of commenting that it seems like the more you work to bring programs into your school, the harder you work as a principal. There are times where you scratch your head. I think it was kind of what you were talking about, Mr. Taylor. You scratch your head and you ask yourself, why am I doing this again? Because every time you do it, it just gets tougher. But one of the things that we're bringing in, we had Mineral Area College over the other day, Pam Watkins, we kind of finalized a deal. We're going to be offering a lab-based bio class and a lab-based chemistry class through them on campus with their instructors coming here 2 hours a day for both first semester and second semester. So they're actually going to pair up with our teachers and do this lab-based class for 2 days a week, and then the other 3 days the kids will work in there with our teachers on their online assignments through Mineral Area College. It's a sort of a grant thing that they're doing in the health industry, and so that's why they're promoting the chemistry and the bio. And also at the end of the 2-year cycle, if we survive the 2-year cycle, we will get approximately $20,000 in equipment that they brought onto our campus for this. We will get to keep that. That will then be ours, so that's really neat. The other thing I will say about our students and again about our staff, originally I was extremely limited on the number of kids. When I say extremely limited, it was 7 in one and 5 in the others. They came, they visited, they got to meet our staff, they got to meet the students, and then they sent me a follow-up email, basically said you can probably go up to about 12 or so in each of those sections if you'd like. They were so impressed with our staff and our students that they did not hesitate to raise those numbers for me. So we've actually taken in a lot of other people, students now who, after meeting with them, said, hey, I only signed up for one, I'd like to do both. We're now taking in both. Dr. Etherton has also been working with MAC to establish an on-campus CDA program for child development. This is something that we hope in the future will not only serve our students, I think next year we're going to have 2 doing it, but maybe we'll serve some other wee little tykes in the county if we can do some things like the pre-kindergarten and stuff like that, that have that on campus. This will just blend right with that. So this is sort of a first step that we're doing with that. I'm also proud to say that Mr. Kraft, who a couple years ago I switched over to CP World History because I kind of wanted to grow that and put a lot of faith in somebody that I believe was just an excellent, excellent teacher. Passed through the preliminary rounds of certification through SLU and 1818, and we hope to offer Western Civ next year on the college level for some juniors and seniors. What really impressed me about that was when I made the move, I was curious how the students would respond, because those of you that know Mr. Kraft, he's tough. He's very straight-laced and he's very dedicated, good teacher, but just a little bit different than maybe what our students are used to around here. And I was hoping for maybe about 20 requests for Western Civ for next year. I had 53. So I actually ended up being able to open up 2 sections. A lot of students telling me how grateful they were for his involvement in that and my involvement in putting him in that. And then the last thing that we're hoping to offer next year for the first time ever, because of the ACT, because of the Aspire test that we're giving to all juniors in the state on the ACT, and we're giving to all of our sophomores, is an ACT prep class for elective credit built within the day. And I want to take a second to kind of explain, because I know there's a lot of people that are going to be like, just a class. It's not. It's really neat. We're able to pair up Chris Warner and Jeremy O'Brien in the same hour, so teaching different sections. But what they'll do is swap kids. And because we're giving the Aspire test this year, we get a pre-look at some of these sophomores and how they're going to do and indicators, and they're basically going to break down, and for every kid in their class, they're going to kind of define a curriculum for them to help them. So if the kid's strong in math, they may not see Mr. Warner much at all. And they need the English help, they're going to stay a lot with Mr. O'Brien. So these two are going to have the freedom to be, they're teaching the same class at the same time in different rooms, to be working with those students intermittently, how they see fit to really get those kids engaged and get those ACT scores up and make us competitive in that area, and hopefully make our students more competitive for scholarships and some post-secondary opportunities. And that's what we've been up to.
we can say is amazing. Thank you guys for everything.
One thing I just want to add, I really appreciate all the hard work that Mr. Haney and Dr.
Yes.
Lee
Yes.
have put in toward expanding the college opportunities for our students right here on our campus while they're still in high school. That was something that was certainly a goal of ours to try to provide more offerings that students can get while they're still in high school, and they've both done a lot of work in that area, and we're still looking at additional opportunities as they present themselves. I know there's a couple other things that are kind of in the works right now. So, but seriously, I appreciate the work of both of them to make that happen. We're starting to see, a realization of that hard work. So, kudos to them. The last thing that I have as a part of my superintendent's report is I just wanted to recognize Mrs. Reesinger. For those of you that may not realize, and those of you in the community that may not realize, she is completing her 25th year as a Board of Education member. And to have 2.5 decades of service to this school district and to our students is absolutely amazing, especially at the job.
It's my life, I'm telling you, that's how much I put in. You can ask my husband, he knows it, so, and he's all excited. I mean, and my kids, they all know it, but I have to say something. I got on the board, oh my gosh, this is really something, when David and Julie were seniors.
They probably would have preferred kindergarten or something like that, but.
Anyway, thank you for that.
That concludes mine.
Oh my gosh. Okay. All right, let me get back here. Okay, we'll move to unfinished business. First is the instructional program presentation, elementary special education review.
Hi, good afternoon.
Hi.
I'm Bethany Ketting. I am a special education teacher in the elementary school.
And I'm Courtney Fowler. I'm also a special education teacher in the elementary school.
We are here to talk to you about St. John and Bloomsdale Special Education. Both buildings have a process coordinator. One of them is here tonight. Jana LeClaire is out at Bloomsdale, and then Cheryl St. Clair is here in town. She couldn't be here tonight because of a college course. And then we also have, for related services, we have speech therapists at both buildings. Jody Nagger is here, and then Jill Nagger is here in town. And then we also offer occupational therapy and physical therapy for our students who need those services. But we're here basically tonight to talk to you more about the academic end of it. Our kids have a broad spectrum of the kind of services they receive. Tina Oberly, Teresa Carroll, myself, and Jenna Kreitz are here in town, and Cheryl Burkbiller's out at Bloomsdale. We, for the most part, stay in our rooms, and our students come to us, and then we work with them on their individual goals and try to work on grade level expectations as well, but most of them are significantly behind, so we have to get them to where they need to be. But then we also provide co-teaching services, which are Emily Lurk is back here, and Courtney Fowler. She's going to talk to you a little bit about the co-teaching because I don't do that.
I co-teach in 3rd grade and 4th grade with Megan Keeker and Sandy Nagger, and Emily co-teaches in 5th grade with Suzette Brewster. And our students stay in the regular classroom with their peers, and we go to them for reading, writing, and math. And if they have any tests or if they get behind on any assignments or need reinforcement with certain skills, we pull them into our classrooms for some resource, some smaller group time. And we just work with the regular teacher to lesson plan, and we grade and look at data to see what we need to accommodate our students on in the classroom so they can still try and attempt the regular curriculum.
Whereas our students that I talked to you about, our students don't always do grade level curriculum. We have to do what their IEP states as far as what they're behind in and what kind of skills they need to work on. So it's a broad spectrum. We do the reading and the writing and the math, but sometimes we do life skills, adaptive skills, things like that. So our kids are a little bit more on the lower functioning and they can't necessarily do the grade level or they're not quite ready for it. So we have provided accommodations and modifications to get them there. Do you guys have any questions about what we do?
We think you do a great job.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Great job. Okay, next we have summer school. Dr. Flynn.
For the 2015 summer school programs, Dr. Green and I have been working through this, trying to figure out what we're going to do. But we are recommending 3 programs for the summer. They are the same programs that we offered last year. The first one is the extended school year program. This is for students who have, in special education programs, who have IEPs. These students typically regress over time in their meeting their goals, so we need to keep them engaged in school for an extended period of time. They may have severe disabilities or they just have learning goals that have to be addressed. Extended school year also encompasses early childhood special education. Our 3 and 4-year-olds, are they 3 and 4? Mm-hmm. So that includes them too. The program will be run June 1st through June 25th. This program meets 4 days a week, Monday through Thursday, and it goes from 8 a.m. until 11:30. At the high school, I have a little correction there. I thought I just put algebra, but I put algebra 1, and it should just say algebra, because we do English and algebra at the high school with some credit recovery courses mixed in, as we have students who need those credits to make it to graduation. So those are the main programs there. These students, we run 2 semesters, so each semester, if they're behind on credits and they're trying to recover credits, they can earn half a credit each semester. So semester 1 for the high school summer school program will run June 1st through June 19th, and they will meet 5 days a week from 8 a.m. to 12 p.m. And the second semester will be June 22nd through July 10th. Again, 5 days a week, 8 a.m. to 12 p.m. And luckily, July 4th falls on a Saturday, so they don't have to go to school on July 4th. Otherwise, they would have to meet the hours. And then at our elementary, there is a state mandated supplemental reading program that we have to put on here. I think we do not, Peggy, you want to help me? We do not have students who qualify this year for the supplemental reading program?
As of right now, no.
As of right now. So that decision will be made closer to the end of the school year. But this is for students in grade 4 who are reading below a 3rd grade reading level. This program will be offered to those students who need it to qualify. And if we have to run that program, it will go June 1st through June 26th. They will meet 8 a.m. to probably about 10 a.m. because there's a 40-hour instructional time requirement we have to meet for the law here. So those are the 3 programs that we are proposing. I need your approval to go ahead tomorrow and work with Mrs. Schwint and get the application turned in to DESE. That is due May 1st, so we can get everything in place.
I move to approve the summer school 2015 as presented.
Second.
The motion and a second, all in favor by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Thank you. You're welcome. Next is the approval of the official results of the bond machine election.
First of all, wow.
Yes.
We were so excited. You know, being the new superintendent, there's always a little bit of angst that's involved anytime you have an election like that. And so, you know, and then of course, requiring a supermajority of 4/7 for it to pass as well. But I should have known, because we have such a wonderful community here. We are so lucky to have the kind of community support that we have had in the past, and we just over 74% approval on Proposition 1. So just tremendous amount of appreciation to the community for the support that they had for that bond issue and for what we're trying to do with it. I also want to thank the promotion committee. We had a committee that worked hard to promote that in the community. Thank the folks that put ads in the paper. Mr. Bova for writing the letter. Appreciated all of those things. Everyone in the community that allowed us to put a sign in their yard or otherwise got out there and promoted the issue for us. We were very appreciative of all their efforts. And really the process, started back in October or so with a very large committee of community members and staff members that went through a very extensive process to identify what kind of projects should be included in the bond issue. And I think because that was done, I think that the community was very supportive of that because they knew that there had been a lot of planning that went into that particular issue. So having said that, I would ask that you approve the official results that show Proposition 1 passed with 1,034 yes votes and only 358 no votes.
Move to approve the official results of the St. Genevieve County bond issue municipal election.
Sorry. Have a motion and a second, all in favor by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Okay, next we have the selection of an architect.
As you all know, this district has worked with Crom, Rickamaroo, and Johansson since 1989. That's when they did the first project here on our campus. We've been very pleased with the services that they've provided to the district. Really provided a master plan that unified this campus in particular. We're very pleased with what they've been able to do for us. In talking with them, they were willing to extend the existing contract at the exact same pricing that we had in place in 2009. So I would recommend that you enter into a contract with KRJ to serve as the architect for this bond issue.
I move to enter into a contract with Crom, Rickamaroo, and Johansson to serve as the district architect for the upcoming bond issue project.
Second.
Motion and a second, all in favor by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Okay, we'll move on to new business. First is the bond resolution.
Yes, we have with us tonight Larry Hart and Courtney Weidman. They're going to provide some information to the board about the bond resolution.
Thank you for working with our company. We were very pleased also to hear Dr. Lindsay's voice on April 7th that evening with the 74%, slightly more than that, majority that was outstanding. And we're here tonight to conclude the marketing process for the bonds. We have been making them available to local investors, and with your approval tonight, there's the community, First Bank is willing to purchase $500,000 of the $4,200,000, and First State Community Bank is also committing for $500,000. We have other buyers lined up for the remainder. This is a premium structure which will produce approximately $359,000 of reoffering premium to absorb the cost of issuance and provide a little extra funding for the projects themselves in case they are above budget, which has been a trend around the state this year and last year. A lot of projects are coming in above the budget amounts. With yours, you have a wide variety of them, And you may, with this premium, you may be able to do more in some of those areas than you originally thought at today's prices, which would probably prove economical. The bonds are callable in 5 years at no penalty, so we expect you'll be able to refinance and save money at that time. These packets are complete. We don't need to go through all the details, but we also don't want to leave here without you being comfortable that you realize what the bonds are doing. Courtney Wegman will, she's done the work to be here and done a lot of work in a short period of time. It's hard to have a bond ready so quickly after the election, but with Dr. Lindsay's help and Courtney's, it's possible. So I'll turn it over to her at this point.
Okay, if everyone wants to take the binder clip off your packet, and we can go through some of these items. We won't go, like Larry mentioned, we won't go through it in detail, but I do want to highlight some of the information within it. Similar to the refunding bonds that I was here presenting about in January, these new money bonds did receive a AA+ rating from Standard & Poor's as a result of participation within the Missouri Direct Deposit Program. So that's what this top item is going over. The next item with the paperclip, we're going to do the paperclip as well. As Larry mentioned, we do have commitments for the bonds. On Schedule 9, this is the sample repayment schedule that the board can lock in this evening. As you can see, we have principal starting in 2028. All of them are at the 4%. What he had mentioned before, the premium structure. In order to go into some more detail and explain that a bit more, on the next page, Schedule 9A, we have a pricing summary, which is basically saying that your coupon, your interest rate to the investor is the 4%, which is the third column from the left, to yield 2% for the first part of the term of $1 million. And then for the second term, the $3.2 million, it's the 4% coupon to the investor to yield 2.14%. And these yield are to the call date of your March 1st, 2020. As a result of that, your investor is going to pay more upfront money in order to receive that higher interest rate. As Larry had mentioned, is about $359,000 additional money generated from this sale after paying cost of issuance, which we move to the next page. We'll go over that quickly. So with the first, at the top, we see the proceeds of the $4.2 million. We have the reoffering premium of slightly less than $360,000. After paying your cost of issuance, about halfway down, including the legal fees, official statement printing, underwriting fees of about $49,250. You're left with $4,510,672 that you can use for your construction project. So about $310,000 extra dollars that can be used for your various projects with this bond issue. Behind these, we won't go into too much detail, but we do present a potential refunding of these bonds in 5 years in order to save the district some money. If rates were to stay at current levels, we're looking at about $434,000 of savings. So adding that to your previous realization of the $209 from before, over $600,000. So again, we will monitor the markets, and when that 5-year mark comes closer, we'll be able to discuss that more with you. As far as looking at how does this bond issue affect your finances in general. So with the long pages, the first one, spreadsheet 9, includes all of your existing debt, including the refunding from earlier, as well as this new money bond issue. I apologize for the small font. It is very, very small, but if we look, it's very small. The blue columns, everything before that is exactly the same as what we had talked about before in January with your revenues from your 26-cent debt service levy. The new item is going to be the last light blue column. These are going to be the projected principal and interest payments from the bond issue. As far as the bond issue going to raise our debt service levy, the answer is no, even with the premium structure. So if we go to the last two columns, the orange and the dark blue, if we look at it on a diagonal basis, because we're looking at your prior year debt service balance to pay your next year's payments, including that revenue, you can see that for the first few years, your balances are going to be slightly less than what your payments are. However, with the way that we have structured the intercepts for the direct deposit program, you won't be put in a situation where you would go negative or any stress on your debt service account.
If we can move out into fiscal year 23-24, we're looking at a debt service account balance of slightly more than $1.2 million. As you can see, your payments drop significantly down to about $878,000. At that point, you would have more money in your account, the bonds would be callable, so if you didn't have a refunding, you would be able to do prepayments. So with this structure, the 26-cent debt service levy would more than support that, and we would not have to raise that levy. The cash flow behind that is just including that refunding that I previously mentioned with the savings. The next item, a comparison of interest rates. So similar to January, this is taking the projected rates that we have proposed for tonight and comparing them with other financings that are currently out in the market. As you can see, there are two bonds that the district has, and this is the first column on the left side in blue. There are three numbers within that, so we'll just look at fiscal year 2030. The first line, the Bloomberg Index, this is going to be a national curve for AA+ rated GO bonds. As you can see, the rate is 3.52%. Moving over to the right, the three numbers within your column. The 4% is the rate that's going to be given to investors. The 2% is the yield to the call of 2020. And the 3.223% is your yield to maturity. So if you were to never refund these bonds or prepay them, the yield, if that investor held on to them until 2030, would be 3.223. As far as comparison purposes, we want to look at the middle number. So as you can see, your 2% significantly lower than the national average of 3.52. One of the other caveats to that, with the Bloomberg Index, it's including both bank qualified and non-bank qualified. Your bonds are bank qualified, so it's when you have issuances of $10 million or less in a year, your rates are typically going to be lower versus the non-bank qualified. So when you have the non-bank qualified with both, obviously the rates are going to be slightly higher for comparison. Again, if we move over to then the financing for the Columbia, Missouri School District, looking at that middle number, the 2.99. Again, this is going to be slightly higher than yours because of it being non-bank qualified. And then finally, if we just compare it to the Dunklin R5 School District, the purple line, the rate that they had received for the yield to their call is 2.375. So your 2%, obviously less than that. There are going to be some changes with market movement because that sale date was about 3 weeks ago. So just to give you an idea of where your bonds fall in with other.
The purpose of this handout is, as your underwriter, it's incumbent on us to illustrate to your satisfaction that your rates are fair, since you didn't actually take bids from a number of firms in order to accommodate local interest. We think that this does illustrate that, but if you have any questions about any particular aspect of this, it's incumbent on us to answer those questions to your satisfaction. So this is an important document, and it's accurately presented, and we think your rates are very competitive given other situations. But I know we're throwing a lot at you in a short period of time, so if there's any follow-up to this particular page, we'd welcome to comment further. But if not, we can move on to the resolutions.
We'll go ahead and skip the next two items. One is just the closing procedures. Basically, it's going to say the district's going to have their money on May 19th of this year, and behind that is the official statement. It's going into detail about the district as well as the financing itself. It is provided to all investors so that he or she can make informed decisions. The next item, the resolution. So again, this is a summary of most of the information that I've talked to you tonight as far as the maturity schedule for these bonds, the call feature of March 1st, 2020, the rates that you're able to lock in, as well as the item, the one continuing item you will be responsible for with continuing disclosure, providing your ASBR, as well as your annual audit to the MSRB's EMMA website on an annual basis, which I will work with Dr. Lindsay as far as making sure that's submitted on the district's behalf. On the fourth page, it's actually, we have the resolution, which is in all capital letters. Again, saying sale and issuance of the $4.2 million of bonds, complete the various projects of energy efficiency improvements and renovations, and that you will levy enough money with which to pay these bonds. There you go.
Does everybody have it okay?
Sorry, I went through the other two.
No, I kept looking, I kept looking, I'm not finding it.
That's okay. If we can go a few pages farther back on page 4, which actually does have a number at the bottom of this page. It's under section 2.2. As you can see, here's the maturity schedule. So there are 2 term bonds, one in 2030, $1 million, and one in 2035. Both of these will have sinking fund payments so that they aren't balloon payments. For the first term bond, it's $300,000 the first year, $350,000 the second year, 2029, and then another $350,000 in 2030. For the term bond in 2035, there are payments in 2031, 32, 33, 34, and 35, ranging from about $550,000 to $700,000. And on page 9, again, as I had mentioned, under section 3.1, we do have the optional redemption of March 1st, 2020. So with the refunding bonds we did in January, we had a 3-year call feature of March 1st, 2017. With these, we have a 5-year call feature of March 1st, 2020. And the sinking fund payments that I had just previously mentioned are right below that, so you can see the payments that are being made in each of those years. Which does correspond with Schedule 9 of the numbers that we went over. The next item in the packet, we'll skip over this. This is just the UMD letter. It talks about your annual fee of $300 for these bonds on an annual basis as a cost of the other costs of issuance or a one-time fee. And finally, we have a draft news release, and I provided this to Dr. Lindsay electronically. It goes over the fantastic approval percentage of 74.28%. Congratulations again on that, as well as the local participation from First Bank and First State Community Bank, each of $500,000, so $1 million towards that. It does mention that these bonds are going to be callable in 5 years. The reoffering yields, as well as the premium generated of about $360,000. And finally, that the proceeds will be in the district's bank account on May 19th of this year. So, are there any questions on anything?
One thing that I would add is I really appreciate the efforts of L.J. Hart and Company to work with our local investors and offer these bonds for sale here locally. Not all companies that work with school districts on bond issues put forth the effort that they do to make that offering, even if the local investors don't take advantage of it. I do appreciate their efforts to make them pay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for working on this in such short.
Oh, you're very welcome.
I move to approve the resolution for the sale and issuance of the 4.2 million general obligation bond series 2015A as presented.
Second.
Have a motion and a second, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, next we have roofing bid.
Yes, one of the things that we wanted to do as quickly as possible and try to get accomplished this summer, was to go ahead and take care of our roofing needs that we have at the middle school and the high school that were a part of the bond issue. So we did some pre-bid conferences with some roofing companies and ended up receiving 3 bids to complete the roofing project. One from CMT Roofing, one from Lakeside Roofing, and one from Top Priority Roofing. In all cases, the roofing materials themselves will be purchased through a consortium called Education Plus, which is formerly, you guys may remember it as CSD or Cooperative School Districts. We've worked through them for many years to purchase the roofing materials because they're competitively bid. And because they buy in volume, they can get them much cheaper than we can do so as an individual district. So we have the 3 bids from the 3 roofing companies, and I would recommend that you accept the low bid from CMT Roofing.
I move to approve the bid from CMT Roofing in the amount of $100,294.
Second.
Have a motion and a second, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Mr. McDaniel?
I move that the Board of Education hold a closed meeting with a closed record and closed vote following the regular open meeting on May 19, 2015, to be held in the R.W. Thomas Library, 715 Washington Street, St. Genevieve, Missouri, for the purpose of discussing and voting upon the following items of business: legal action, causes of action or litigation, lease, purchase, or sale of real estate, hiring, firing, disciplining, or promoting particular employees, proceedings involving the mental or physical health of an identifiable individual, scholastic probation, expulsion, or graduation of identifiable individuals, testing and examination materials, welfare cases of identifiable individuals, preparation for negotiation with employee groups, software codes for electronic data processing and documentation thereof, specification for competitive bidding until approved or published, sealed bids and related documents until the bids are open, sealed proposals and related documents until all proposals are rejected, or any documents related to a negotiated contract until the contract is executed. Individually identifiable personnel records, performance ratings or records pertaining to employees or applicants for employment, records protected from disclosure by law, scientific and technological innovations in which the owner has a proprietary interest, records relating to municipal hotlines established for the reporting of abuse and wrongdoing, confidential or privileged communication with an auditor, operational guidelines, policies, and specific response plans for preventing or responding to a critical incident, existing or proposed security systems and structural plans of district property, the portion of a record that identifies security systems or access codes, records identifying what will allow unauthorized access to or unlawful disruption of the configuration of components, the operation of a computer, computer system, computer network, or telecommunications network, credit card numbers, personal identification numbers, digital certificates, physical and virtual keys, access codes, or authorization codes that are used to protect electronic transactions. I further move that notice of this meeting and its tentative agenda be posted as required by law.
Second.
Okay, have a motion and a second. Roll call, Eric Bosser,
Yes.
David Bova,
Yes.
Charlie Crowther,
Yes.
Joan Dunkey,
Yes.
Terry McDaniel, yes, Martha Reesinger,
Yes.
Rick Rudolph,
Yes.
motion carried, 7-0.
Move to go to a closed session with a closed record and closed vote after a short break.
Have a motion and a second, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you all for being here.